Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric.
And I'm Will.
Today on the program, we are going to be talking about The Revenge of Frankenstein, sequel to The Curse of Frankenstein by Hammer Horror from 1958.
The world's kind of horrible, so I've been indulging in horror instead. I've been catching up with Interview with a Vampire, the most modern version. It's being streamed as a series, and it's pretty darn good. One of those things I stay up too late watching. Kind of, you're looking forward to see where it goes.
Just days ago, I got back from New Orleans, where I was staying in the French Quarter.
Aha!
I did not get a chance to see or pick out the place that inspired Interview with the Vampire, but I did stay in a hotel over Halloween that had a, welcome to our haunted hotel sign, like that they put up at Halloween. So I was like, yeah, right, like every place here. All right.
Right.
This place was pretty interesting. It had ceilings that were way high, and I don't mean like two-person heights high. I'm talking like three-person height high, like 20-foot
Wow.
high ceilings, right?
Okay, yeah.
Old furnishing, like claw foot chairs and things like that. After I'd been there for a couple of nights, I was wide awake in the middle of the night, and there was a sound of something dropping right in between the beds. I was awake, and there was enough light that I could see that there was nothing there. So that was kind of freaky. But I had previously read on websites and stuff like that that the haunted room was like 208 or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
20
yeah.
or 205 or something. Anyway, it was not my room. I was in like 204. I remember when we first checked in, I saw that sign and I'm like, oh, this wasn't part of the deal. And someone was like, oh, most of our guests like that, you know? I was only there for a few days, and like by the last day, I ran into some people that were also staying in the hotel, and we started talking. They're like, "I want to know who's in room 204, the haunted room." And I'm like, "I'm in 204." What are you talking about? When I got back to the hotel, I talked to the desk clerk that evening. They got a complaint while I was there, and she's like, yeah, well, we're a haunted hotel, so it's like every room. And I'm like, well, is there one room that's worse than most? And that's when she realized I was in 204 and she got real quiet. I mentioned 208 or whatever that I read online. She's like, that's not the one. She's like, it's 204. That's the one we have the most activity from. And also, apparently, the room below it is like 102, and she said that like they get a lot of complaints from 102 about the noise from above, like room
Yeah.
204, which if something dropped on the floor, yeah, that would make sense. And then these other people had mentioned the handprints. Supposedly this was an orphanage that burned down their kids' handprints on the ceiling, and I had never noticed that. And then this desk clerk mentioned it too. And so then I went up to the room and looked, and sure enough, there were handprints on the ceiling. Now, personally, I think this is all made up, and like they got up on a ladder and put them there themselves or something. But long story short, I was in Anne Rice territory during Halloween, and there was a lot of Halloween atmosphere. I'll just put it that
See,
way.
I'm just gonna put it this way. I'm just gonna. I'll be very clear. Eric, you're exactly the guy who's like, "Oh, are there ghost orphans in here? Let's wrestle." You're not.
Yeah, and in a horror movie, I would be like the first to die, right? Because it's like, come on, ghosts.
Let's box, baby.
Enough about ghost stuff. Let's talk Frankenstein. So this movie, The Revenge of Frankenstein, came out in 1958. So let's talk about what was going on in the culture in 1958. On January 1st, the European Economic Community, the EEC, began. February 5th, a U.S. B-47 bomber jettisoned its hydrogen bomb in Wassaw Sound off Tybee Island, Georgia. It has never been recovered. So there's still a
What they
hydrogen
want you
bomb.
to think.
March 11th, a US B-47 bomber accidentally dropped an atom bomb on Mars Bluff, South Carolina, without a fissile warhead. Its conventional explosives destroyed a house and injured 6 people. So they're like losing nukes left and right. April 26th, The Platters' Twilight Time became the #1 song in America, and it displaced the Champs' Tequila. After 1 week, it was displaced by David Seville's Witch Doctor. May 18th, a U.S. Lockheed F-104 Starfighter set the world speed record, 1,404.19 miles per hour. That's 2,259.82 kilometers per hour. June 1st, The Revenge of Frankenstein is released in the US on a double bill with Curse of the Demon. July 26th, in the UK, Queen Elizabeth II declared her son, Prince Charles, the heir apparent Prince of Wales, at the conclusion of the British Empire and Commonwealth Games in Cardiff. August 3rd, the nuclear-powered submarine USS Nautilus is the first vessel to cross the North Pole underwater.
Nice.
September 12th, Texas Instruments electrical engineer Jack Kilby invents the first integrated circuit. On October 17th, An Evening with Fred Astaire is the first television show recorded on color videotape and broadcast in the US on NBC. And then November 17th of 1958, The Revenge of Frankenstein is released in the UK. James Carreras pre-sold the film in America with just a poster. And then he came to Jimmy Sangster and asked him to write the sequel to Curse of Frankenstein. And Sangster said he killed Baron Frankenstein in the first film. And Carreras was like, gave him 6 weeks to write the script before they went into production and told him to, quote, think of something, unquote. So the film commenced shooting at Bray Studios on the 6th of January in 1958, just 3 days after filming wrapped on The Horror of Dracula, which was also directed by Terence Fisher. We covered it on an earlier episode. And it also starred Peter Cushing. The production reused a lot of the sets from The Horror of Dracula, optimizing resources between the two films, and also a lot of the same crew. When it was released, Variety called it, quote, a high-grade horror film, unquote, with rich production values and a script that was, quote, well plotted, peopled with interesting characters, aided by good performances, unquote. Motion Picture Daily noted it was, quote, a horror picture turned out with creative skill and imagination, and praised Hammer Films for their, quote, stunning use of color and frightening effects, unquote. And it also stated that they, quote, have demolished once and for all the theory that horror films should always be in black and white, unquote.
Whoa, that was a thing?
Apparently that was a thing. Harrison's reports declared it, quote, a first-rate picture of its kind, unquote. But the monthly film bulletin called it, quote, a contrived plot and a notable lack of pace and imagination are responsible for the failure of this lavish and painstaking production to be convincing even on the level of a horror film. Peter Cushing's stylish and diffident performance serves only to underline the farcical effects of a crude and pedestrian handling of the little legitimate horror left, unquote.
And now, before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink.
If you are of a certain age and you're an American, you probably first heard of fava beans in a little movie called Silence of the Lambs. Although fava beans can and often are eaten as a toasted snack sort of thing, I am not suggesting that. I wanted a recipe that was something I would eat, which is not, that's not the thing. I'm going to put the recipe up, but essentially you want to pre-soak the fava beans overnight. They apparently get quite funky. I wasn't there for that. My wife did that part. Thank you, Becca. Then you want to peel them. They are unlike most beans in that although they come in an outside, like a outside shell, even after they're shelled, they have a skin on top of that. Most people don't really care for that. It's kind of chewy, but you can leave it on if you want. But you peel the beans, you set them aside after they've been soaked and you peeled them. You want some olive oil, some onions. You're gonna start by cooking that. We'll put up all the recipe amounts, but you're gonna end up adding water to that after they've cooked down and gotten nice and reduced. And then you're going to use that water to cook your barley. This particular recipe is a recipe for beans and barley that comes from Tasting History YouTube channel. And it's something that Roman gladiators would eat. Okay. Now, there was a time, I believe it was the
Okay,
Greeks.
so you do realize we are not doing Spartacus today.
I know, but I start wherever and I end up wherever. So, so when we get back, we can eat this again if you want, or I'll just go some other direction. So you make your barley, and then you're adding the beans to that. The beans will actually be very soft, and the barley will be kind of chewy. The other ingredients that they suggest are salt and vinegar. Of course, why not garlic? The amount of garlic they have listed is like 3 cloves, so you should triple that because garlic.
Right.
And I would probably use more olive oil than they suggest because, fat is flavor. Depending on the time period, these were not things that most people would eat. It was associated with death. Probably because of the stink. I don't know, but it was something they would only eat at a funeral. Okay. But obviously, things changed back and forth. They were very popular in the medieval era, and they were very popular for gladiators, though, you feed gladiator stuff you wouldn't feed just everybody anyway. Very filling, great for a cool night. I enjoyed mine with the skin on. We peeled some of them, but it's a nice chewiness. Kind of depends. If you just want to mess around with them, that will probably make a very good hummus. Once the skins are removed, they're incredibly soft. So try that out. All right, so that's my thing for this. It's definitely a jump, but it starts out from cannibalism, which is a movie. Tiny bit.
Well, let's get to the cannibalism.
In the year 1860, I, Baron Frankenstein, was sentenced to death on the guillotine. Why? Why had the world condemned me? Because I was the first man to create another living being. The first unnatural man. But because his brain was affected, because he could not control his animal instincts, he was hunted down and brutally murdered. But I have escaped the guillotine, and I shall avenge the death of my creation. Nobody. He isn't born yet.
You will witness scenes never before seen on a motion picture screen. You will see Frankenstein take the eyes of one man, the brain of another. You will see lifeless hands begin to move. You will see a man turn into the world's most terrifying monster.
Anesthetic! Quick, man! Switch off!
This movie opens in 1860, where Baron Victor Frankenstein has been sentenced to death by the guillotine, but he escapes execution by having a priest beheaded and buried in his place with the aid of course, a hunchback named Carl. 3 years later, Victor, now going by the alias Dr. Stein, has become a successful physician in Carlsbrook, catering to the wealthy and also attending to the poor in a pauper's hospital situation. One of his first patients of the wealthy is this woman brings her daughter. And this is where I think Bruce was right about the homosexual overtones in this thing. Like, she's got the low cut dress, and they're like, he's got a device to listen to her heart, and they're like, don't you want to put your ear there? Don't you want to? And he's like trying to avoid it until they like basically insist, and then he does. And then there's a woman that actually comes to work at the hospital, Margaret Conrad, and he tries to get rid of her. He's like, have her wash one of the patients. That should deter her, and, and stuff like that. And at one point, he's like interfering women.
Okay, but for real though, like that woman was like throwing her daughter at him, and it was implied in because there was a whole scene where the other doctors in the town were like, we gotta do something about this Dr. Stein. He's taking all our patients. Oh yeah, including your wife. I put a stop to that. I'll tell you what. Yeah, so apparently he's got that, Riz, and all the ladies want him. He's successful
Yeah.
doctor or whatever, but
So he also is making all the other doctors mad because he's taking all their business,
yeah.
all of their business. And so there's like, I don't know what it's called, some medical guild, and they like are trying to get him to join. And I thought maybe you might have some opinions of this being part of a union, but he was like, oh, this only exists to preserve their monopoly or something.
Oh yeah, he even says like when I first got here, you guys didn't want to let me, you didn't. I had nothing, and I had to work my way up. You wouldn't help me out, start my practice or anything, and
So how accurate do we think that would be?
oh, I think it's 100%. Like, I mean, the guilds are, the precursors to unions in a lot of ways. And they just like, yeah, what's even better than being a really skilled person? It's like making sure that other really skilled people can't compete against you. That's the ideal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, that rang really true. And I thought that was a pretty cool introduction of like, who is this Miss Dr. Stein anyway? Why is he taking our women? He's stealing her. Oh my gosh, he's an immigrant. Crap, I just realized.
Hans Kleb, I think is how you say it. I forget. It's been a
Yeah.
little while since I saw this. He's a junior member of the medical council, and he recognizes Victor, and he's an admirer, and so he wants to apprentice with him. So Carl and Victor and Hans continue the Baron's experiments. Basically, they want to transplant a living brain into a new body. This time, one that's not stitched together, but a fully formed new body. So it's like never about making a creature, it's about making the perfect man. Okay?
Yeah.
So there we got that too. Carl, the hunchback, he's more than willing to volunteer his brain to get a healthy body,
Oh yeah.
especially because he likes Margaret Conrad, the assistant at the hospital. A couple episodes back, we did House of Frankenstein, and it's pretty similar in plot with the hunchback assisting in exchange for a new body. This was a Universal film.
Wait, did they also have a handsome young man as a second?
Yeah, it was actually Larry Talbot, the Wolfman. He plays the handsome guy that the gypsy woman, it's instead of like a nurse in this, it's a gypsy woman because gypsies and hunchbacks go together.
Oh
all the
yeah,
time,
no,
too.
I was there for that one, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The gypsy woman likes Talbot, so he's willing to get his brain transferred into the monster. Same situation here, right? And of course, he's done this before, apparently, because he has an orangutan.
yes.
Or sorry, he has a chimpanzee, which he says he put the brain of an orangutan in.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know how you could tell the difference between a chimp with a normal chimp brain and a chimp with an orangutan brain. Like, how would you know?
I mean, I don't know. For me, when I think of orangutans, I feel like, more chilled hippie vibes, but I don't, I really don't know. We'll have to ask Jane. She's not here anymore. Rest her soul. But like basically, yeah. Well, we find out one tell, don't we?
Yeah. Oops. Side effect cannibalism.
Yeah, he's like, oh yes, when this comes up later, like versus we see and we hear about it being the brain being transferred and everything, but only later he's like, oh yeah, that's right. That when that happens, oh yeah, I remember now. He did eat his wife. Wife. I'm not sure why I said wife, maybe mate, but whatever. He's like, apparently the chimpanzee ate the other chimpanzee after. Well, except it wasn't a chimpanzee anymore. It was orangutan. So I'm not really sure whether he ate a chimpanzee or another orangutan. Anyway, he ate some primate after his brain was switched over. But our protagonist, hero, our doctor is like, oh, but that won't happen as long as nothing happens to as long as the brain of the newly transferred brain gets to rest and heal properly. Everything will be fine.
That's why I'm like, how would you even know? Because even if an orangutan is more chill than a chimpanzee, if you're recovering from brain surgery, and I know this because I have cared for people who have recovered from brain surgery multiple times in my life, they tend to be chill, and it also takes months to recover from that.
Yeah.
And the way that they do it in this, the creature recovering from brain surgery, is actually very realistic. So that's my opinion on the post operation. But I want your opinion on the reanimation scene, like we always do in this.
Ah, okay. First of all, I'm going to jump back slightly. The first part of this whole thing, I know it's not a shock. People have been following along, but he escaped and he set up shop somewhere else, and he had to flee there because he got caught screwing around. But then that one was really cool because they were set up in a mill, and they showed the mill getting started up. It looked insanely dangerous. I'm like, I was actually concerned about for the actors because I'm like, there's exposed parts spinning and stuff. Anyway, so that was a really cool one. They dumped the body into the water underneath the mill because they did all stuff. But anyway, the mill was very much old school. Like this could be early electrical generation. And then this time when they did the reanimation, it was just crazy banana pants. They just threw everything at it. They had the bubbling chemicals. They had weird plastic looking green mass that was glowing. They had electricity from lightning. They just literally just threw they're like, okay, what else can we put in here? What else can we put in here? And they just kept on adding stuff. I'm like, man, I I really was like, this how do you guys not kill yourselves on all this crap that you have? I mean, it really, really very poor. I mean, they needed OSHA real bad there because it was a huge mess. I'm surprised they managed to resurrect anybody instead of just murdering themselves in the process. But anyway, it did look cool, but they there was no coherent theme. It was just like, let's have everything.
So the transplant succeeds. Hans tells Carl that, he'll be a medical sensation, and Carl doesn't want that. Like, he got too much attention from having a hunchback, and he doesn't want the same thing to happen all over. So he panics and he convinces Margaret to free him. Hans tells Victor that he's worried about Carl, but Victor just brushes it off. Carl flees from the hospital and hides in the lab, and he burns his old body,
Yeah.
the hunchback body.
Yeah, because they were going to display, look, here's his old body. He used to live in, and now he's in his new body. And he's like, I don't want anybody. No, I don't want that.
Yeah. But then like things go a little crazy at this point. So there's like a drunk janitor who attacks him because he thinks he's a burglar or something, and then he kills him. And then when Victor and Hans find out that Carl is gone, they go out searching for him.
Oh yeah. Oh, and while the janitor attacks him, and he's beating and really, Carl and new Carl is not really trying to fight him. He's trying to avoid him. But like man, the janitor wails on him and keeps punching him in the head, which as we know, everything will be fine as long as his head gets to heal upright. Well, guess what? I mean, not only is he not resting in bed, but he's getting walloped in the head over and over again, hit in the head with a chair, beat down. So he finally loses it, kills the janitor, and then he stumbles out. He goes. Where do we end up finding him again?
In Margaret's aunt's stables.
Yes, when she was helping him, and recovering, because she was tending to all the poor and everything, she gave him her address so that he could come and once he was healed up, and she would help him. Of course, he's smitten by her anyway, and she's very kind, so he goes there to the stables.
Yeah. She goes to get Hans because Carl is having problems with the new body.
Oh yeah.
He convinces her not to bring Frankenstein, but to at least bring Hans. When they get back, he's gone. He's not there anymore.
He's gone. Yeah. You see his arm twist up so Carl had, a paralyzed side and, hunchback, and you see his leg and arm and twisting up. It's because they said, oh yeah, it's going to be fine. Because we'll fix, the problem that was causing that before was in his brain. We'll fix it in the surgery. It'll be great. But of course, he just got his head walloped and everything. Things are not fine.
There's like a young couple, and the girl, Gerda, he attacks and strangles. And then the next night, he rushes into a reception. And he's got his deformities are coming back, and he begs Victor for help in front of all these people using his real name.
Yes.
Frankenstein. And then he collapses and dies. So Victor disregards Hans about leaving the country.
Right.
Hans thinks he needs to leave now that he his name is out there, and he says, I'll take care of it. So of course, when the council finds this out, they call him before them, and they're, he denies it. He's like, look, there are a lot of Frankensteins, I'm not the Frankenstein. I'm a Frankenstein, The counselors, after he leaves, they go and they open the grave and they see the priest's body in it and conclude that he is in fact Victor Frankenstein. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, all the patients know who he is. They mass attack him and pretty much kill him, or almost kill him.
Yeah, now, notably, he's been helping these guys, but mostly he's been using them as spare parts.
But he's also a really good doctor. He did cure a lot of people. For example, he stops one guy from smoking at the beginning. Now, the Surgeon General didn't say that smoking was bad for you until the 1960s in the US. So this guy was 100 years ahead of his time in some things, he was just that was probably back then they thought, oh, smoking is good for you. Let's prescribe, a good cigar,
Right.
Anyway, a pipe, you need a pipe to help with that, Anyway, they nearly kill him right as the police arrive, but Hans is like, well, he's dead, so the cops take off, or whatever. And the guild guys and everything. So now that they're off of his trail, Hans then transplants Victor's brain into a new body that he had prepared earlier. And we learned in the last scene that body looks exactly like Frankenstein. It's practically a clone.
Yeah.
Except he's got a pencil mustache now,
It's on the one hand super cheesy, but also awesome. And what I love is this, I'm like, we keep on, I'm so, of my time. So I didn't realize just how long and deep this history of the anti-hero, the villain protagonist is, because he's definitely the villain protagonist in this.
Yeah. So before we get deep into now analyzing it, I want to say that the last thing we find out is that he's moved to London and taking new patients, and now he's Dr. Frank. So he really sucks at coming up with aliases because he was Dr. Stein and now he's Dr. Frank, but anyway, I think where you fall, I love this Frankenstein series. I think this is like a really good series. The Universal series has a couple of good entries, but on the whole, none of this series is as good as the best of that series. But judged in aggregate,
Uh-huh.
I feel like this series maintains a better quality over time, whereas the other
Mm.
ones like starts high and goes downhill. And then this one though doesn't start as high, but it also doesn't fall as far.
I really enjoy it, and also felt like I was watching I'm watching this villain serial again. I'm like, oh, it's like this is a serialized the ongoing adventures of Dr. Frankenstein. And I mean, I can imagine reading this as a pulp novel. But like basically,
Well, there were like 3 novelizations of it. Was it
oh
this
no
one?
doubt, oh of course.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
anyway,
and I think it would make. I mean, it would make great comic book stuff. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It's funny because he's like less of a jerk than he was before. He's actually seems kinder caring, conciliatory about and stuff. I don't know if it's just because part of it is like, oh, we got this ongoing character, so we'll just play him that way. But yeah, no, everybody uh in this, I thought it was very interesting the way everybody dealt with the reality of it's a specific world where Frankenstein is a thing.
yes.
It's like
Yeah.
and he is amongst them, doing his misdeeds. But of course, there's a little bit of cooperation all the way around. He's got this thing where he's working it, with the hospital. He's got these rich clients. He's working that. He's working the angle with the poorhouse. He's got a willing assistant. He's got some guy who's going to help out. I mean, he's got a plan. He's got a vision. He's even got a backup plan. This guy, I mean, I'm invested in him. I like this. This was very, very much. I like this one a lot.
So it's interesting. Different people have very different opinions about which of the Hammer Frankensteins they like best or which one's the best one. And this one tends to be very highly rated. In my opinion, it's not one of my top ones in this series. There are other ones that I think generally get a worse rating, but I liked better.
Yeah.
I thought this was a solid entry. It just wasn't it to me it lacked a little bit of tension in the second part. The climax was not climactic enough quite for me.
No, not really.
It happened fast and then it was just like boom. And a lot of like the motivations weren't really figured out very well. It's like, okay, so the brain makes him a cannibal and that was never really explained. And if that was the case, then wouldn't Frankenstein now be a cannibal because he had his own brain transferred? But I don't know.
Right. But no, you don't understand. As long as nothing's disturbed during I don't know, whatever. But okay, yeah. The I think it hangs together. To me, it hangs together fine. Okay, there's enough things. I'm like, yeah, humans do this. Like for instance, there's a character in there. He's like he's sort of the janitor at or supposed to be cleaning up at the hospital, at the poor hospital. And he's always gossiping. He's always saying this and saying that. He's got a whole thing about being like, being dirty, like an animal helps keep you warm and healthy. He's a whole character. There's a lot of great little characters in this, but like, and he is one of the reasons why Dr. Frankenstein got torn apart by this, because he's like, as Dr. Frankenstein is coming in, he's telling him, yeah, you guys were nothing but spare parts to him. And then he kind of just gets out of the way and watches them kill him. He's like this jealous little. I mean, I don't know. He's his own character.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think that the young woman who played the nurse, like really strikingly beautiful, just great cheeks and all that stuff. I was like saying to my father-in-law, I'm like, I guess beauty standards haven't changed that much. Pretty consistent. It's like, yeah, no, she still looks great today. We're not thinking like, wow, why would they think she's attractive? Probably hasn't changed a lot because since film has started, because we have a way of recording and people seeing broadly what is supposed to be quote beautiful. But anyways, I appreciated that, and it was nice that she didn't have to die because that happens a lot. No, somebody else died, notably the young lady with her lover and claws in his new body on his rampage killed her. She was talking to her lover and like saying, "Hey, so basically like when are we gonna make out?" And the guy was totally not getting it. Again, and so she flounces off, and that's when she gets murdered.
Of course, that's a horror movie trope, right?
Right? I mean, like this goes back so far though. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's crazy, but it probably goes way back further than that. Those are just a couple little things I really liked about it. And as always, our lead was amazing.
Yeah, Peter Cushing is like awesome.
It really does. Yeah.
He's super convincing as like Frankenstein is. He's got like a conviction that he is gonna do this,
Oh
and
yeah.
I definitely got to give it a thumbs up. It's good. This whole series has been good.
Oh yeah. This one was a real joy for me. I really liked it. Thumbs up.
Okay, with that, we'll wrap this up and say if you like the program, you can get more of it by subscribing so that you don't miss an episode, and join us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. Every time we release a new episode, it goes there first. We're asking this year for people to just tell 2 people about the show. We spread mostly by word of mouth, but if that's too much work, just go to whatever platform you downloaded us from and like give us the best review you can, and give us a high rating. Hopefully, more people will find us that way. If you want to talk to us directly, you got something to let us know. You can email us at gc8podcast. That's letter G, letter C, number 8 podcast at gmail.com. Until next time, this is Eric.
And this is Will.
Signing off.
The world's kind of horrible, so I've been indulging in horror instead.